Buongiorno tutti! Welcome to Calabria Dreaming. My name is Lily and I'm coming to you live from Calabria. Today's video is an exciting video. I've been wanting to make it. I've been thinking about it for a long time, and it's the reasons why you should move to Calabria. Now, I've already made a video back when I first started my channel with no editing, no lighting, no nothing. And so today's video is a remix of that video. And for the most part, I'm going to talk about the same things, but this time, this video is for different reasons. So as many of you know, the last 2 years have been quite crazy. Lots of things have been changing on a worldwide stage. A lot of restrictions happening. Excuse me, my cookie always wants to be in the videos. Here she is. Get your camera time, girl. Are you happy? Okay, go leave me alone. What I was saying is things have changed in the last 2 years since I first made that video. When I first moved here 2 years ago, I didn't realize what type of world we would be living in. And now that things have changed, I wanted to make a video about why Calabria is a great place to move despite all of the crazy shit that's happening here in Italy. I don't want to get too much into what's happening here in Italy because I've been flagged several times for saying inappropriate things from the tech gods, and I'm not making a video about my opinions about what's happened here in Italy, but I am giving an opinion about why Calabria still is such a great place to move to, even though we are in Italy. If you've never seen the movie The Matrix, this video might go over your head. So if you don't know who Trinity and Neo is and Morpheus, and if you don't understand the Matrix and the system and plugging in and plugging out, then you might not get this video. But for those who know what I'm talking about, this video is for you, okay? So let's get into it. The first thing I want to talk about that I talked about in my previous video is the food, right? The food in Calabria is amazing, but I want to go a little bit deeper and explain why this thing is the most amazing thing about Calabria. So the land, the food that comes from this land, the terra here in Calabria, is incredibly fertile, okay? So if you're trying to get out of the matrix and you want to live sustainably on your own, I cannot imagine a better place to live than in southern Italy. So all of Italy obviously has great food. Great food grows all over Italy all the time. But the majority of the food actually does come from southern Italy. Calabria is a huge farmland, and it grows a lot of the citruses. It grows a lot of the food for the rest of Italy comes from Calabria. And the reason why the food is so good in Italy is because Italy has this dirt, this volcanic ash type of dirt that grows so many different amazing things. So the land, if you're ever thinking about getting out of the system, okay, and waking up and getting out of this unplugging from the system like how Neo did, Calabria is an amazing alternative because you can literally grow food here year round and anything will grow. Hold on one second. You're thinking about getting out of the matrix and you want to live somewhere where you can grow your own food, Calabria is the best place for that. The volcanic ash, the year-round weather, which I'm going to get into, but the soil itself, and also the way that they farm things here is very, very specific to Calabria. Calabrians are, they farm the way they farmed for thousands of years here. Like you have small crops, always rotated, like they move it around, they use composting, like they grow food the way that our ancestors used to grow food. I mean, there are some like government farms and there are some bigger subsidiaries down here in Calabria, but for the most part, they're small family owned farms, like little farms all over the place. So that the way that they grow the food, it keeps the soil intact and it keeps the soil producing just anything you want to grow. So we have citruses grow the most here, right? So lots of lemons and oranges and all of that, but food grows strawberries, broccoli right now, kale, cabbage, potatoes. The potatoes are amazing here. So it's more than just the food, it's the soil. It's the ability to grow your own food if that's what you wanted to do, okay? So that's like number one, that is the number one reason to move here is the fertility of the land itself. And the food that comes from here is what your body needs. It's like the best food in the universe. So I've already talked about it in my first video, but there's a deeper reason now why I love the land here, and it's because I could grow whatever I needed off of it by myself. And I love that kind of freedom. So that's number one. Number two is the weather. So obviously the weather here is great. We live in the Mediterranean. If you look at the map of where Calabria is, we're basically in the middle of the Mediterranean. Like you can almost see Libya, Africa from Calabria, from certain parts of Sicily, right? So the weather here, and Italians will bitch about it. They think it's cold. It's really not. I mean, we do have cold winters here. Like it's it's right above zero. It never snows down here. And it does rain quite a bit, but the weather here is fantastic. Again, if you were looking to get off grid, if you want to have solar panels, we have sunny weather here for most of the year. And then during the rainy season, we have a lot of rain. So if you wanted to collect rainwater or something like that, weather in general here is perfect for getting off grid, perfect for living on your own if you wanted to have a homestead, or if you're just, looking to, not be in the system so much. The weather, guys, the weather is so manageable. It never gets that cold. You do need a heater in the winter, but you have a lot of wood. If you have a fireplace, you could easily just chop up your own wood and heat your house with that. So the weather is fabulous here, guys. Don't let the Italians fool you, because the Italians are very sensitive to weather, and they'll tell you that it's freezing here. Where I grew up in Sweden, it's not that cold. They just need to get over it. It's actually the best weather ever. All right. The third thing that I wanted to talk about why I love Calabria, why I think Calabria is a great alternative, is the people. The people here are very self-reliant, and they have a very independent spirit. So a lot of the families here, they have their own piece of land, they grow their own food. They're kind of rebellious. Like I feel like if Calabrians get a bad rap from the rest of Italy, they kind of shit on Calabrians. They think of them as ignorant, naive, simpletons, right? Like farmers and stuff, which is kind of true, but in a good way, in my opinion, because Calabrians don't follow the herd very much, although there are a lot of sheep out here, if you know what I'm saying. The Calabrians are very independent, and they like to do their own thing, and they do live a simpler way, which is actually great, because then it's not so complicated. Like they live in a very simple, back to basics way, and they are very stubborn people, which I am also, and I love stubborn people, because you're not going to tell me what to do no matter what. There's no persuading me. I'm going to do what I want to do. And so I'm not saying that Calabria has the most welcoming people in the world, but they are like fiercely independent and super self-reliant. They don't need you. They don't need anybody. They know how to make their own wine. They know how to go fishing. They know how to, handle their land. They're very simple in that way, but that's how you survive in this crazy new world that we're living in. I mean, I personally would never want to live in a big city where my food comes in on a truck. I like the idea that I can grow my own food. Everything is from here. I'm not getting anything from a supply chain line or anything like that. Nothing comes in on a truck for us. Everything is locally grown and locally farmed here. And the reason for that is the spirit of Calabrians, that they don't need anything else from anybody else. They're very proud people. So I love that spirit of Calabrians, just this kind of fuck you, we can do it by ourselves. We don't need any of your help. All right. So I love that spirit of Calabria. And that's the third reason why I think that Calabria has some of the best people in the world. Next reason why I love Calabria is the sea. So we live in the Mediterranean Sea. Obviously, you guys have seen me make millions of beach videos. What I love about the sea and living in this world is that you can go fishing. You can go into your little boat, pedal out into the middle of the water, and catch a bunch of fish. Crazy, right? Like people still do that. There are fishermen here that have been fishing the way that they have been fishing for hundreds of years, and it's a family tradition that gets passed down. I like that. I think that's important in today's day and age, that if anything should happen, you can still provide food for your family with just a simple boat. And the sea here is extremely clean. The water is immaculate. Like I talk about this all the time. And Italians are extreme cleanliness freaks, okay? Like they're crazy for everything to be clean and tested for mercury, and they're very, very special. The food here is very like high standards. Like they don't sell a bunch of products that we have in the United States in Italy because they have high standards for food. And the same goes to their fish, and the fish here is amazing. You can get, you know, tuna out here, you can get mackerel, you can get tons of different types of small little fishes that are very low in mercury, very good for you, like sardines and anchovies and all these kind of things. And the water, you can see it for yourself, is absolutely immaculate. You can see all the way down to the bottom. All right, so the sea, hello, like it's such a simple thing, but I don't think I could have gone fishing in LA. Like, first of all, you need some crazy permit, I'm sure. And second of all, like the water is just absolutely dirty and disgusting. In the 15 years I lived in LA, I never once put my whole body into the ocean because the water is absolutely like black. It's full of oil. It's disgusting. So anyways, the sea is another incredible reason why Calabria is such a great alternative to the Matrix. All right, the next reason is the mountains. So when you fly into Calabria, first of all, there are no big cities here, okay? You fly in and there's all these little mountains and hills, and it's all this greenery. And what I love about the mountains here in Calabria is you can get lost in the mountains. You can go buy a house somewhere tucked up in the mountains. Nobody's gonna find you up there. In fact, there are villages here in Calabria that still speak Greek because they're so isolated, so far removed that they never caught up with the times. And they have all these crazy villages that have stood the test of time as well. They are still standing for 500 to 1,000 years, maybe even older, right? And they're still there, and nobody's gonna find you. So if you wanna get off the grid and live somewhere up in the mountains and have your rainwater and have your solar panels and go fishing for your fish and go hunting for your wild boar, you can do that here. We can drive from our house, from the beach, and be up in the mountains skiing within an hour. But actually, we could be up in the mountains within a half hour. And you can get lost up there. There is no big town. So easy to just disappear if you wanted to. So I love that ability to just get out of town if I really want to. And it's going to be very hard for anybody to come find us. You know what I mean? So, okay, so the mountains, my favorite. I love these mountains. The next reason, and I talked about this in my past video, but I didn't really understand how important it would be in today's day and age, and that is the affordability. It is so cheap here, you guys. I cannot stress to you, you can find a piece of land, like 8 hectares for 5,000 euros. So a lot of people who don't have a lot of money to build a huge house and build a big farm, what they do is, like, I have these friends, they live in an apartment in Catanzaro Lido. So they have, you know, the markets, they live in a city, but then they bought this piece of land that's about 20 minutes outside of Catanzaro Lido, up in the hills. You would never know how to even get there. And they have a shed there where they have like a full kitchen and like a prepping area, and they can, and they do, and they have their own pigs, they have their own garden, they have their own chicken coop, they have all their own eggs, they have olive groves, citrus groves, they have everything up there. And they bought it for, like, I believe it was anywhere between 5,000 to 10,000. That's like the going rate. You can easily find a piece of land. And so that way you can rent cheaply in town, or buy an apartment that's not that expensive, and still have your big piece of land and grow all your own food. So it's so affordable out here. And I have looked, guys, I have literally looked Thailand, Bali, Mexico. I've looked at all these other cheap places, but usually they lack one or the other things. Like they lack the anonymity, like the mountains provide for you here. They lack the sustainability. Like, you can't, I don't know, you can live in the desert, but what the hell are you going to grow out there? You know, are you going to have water? Do you have fresh water? Do you have access to the mountain water? Do you have access to rain? Like, you know, the affordability plus all the other things is what makes Calabria like such an amazing place to be. All right, so you can find apartments here for 100,000, even less. I mean, I've helped a person just recently buy a place for 40,000. It's right on the beach. It's a 1 bedroom with a terrace. It's fabulous. You know, you can find such affordable places here and have all of the added benefits of like having your own land. So it's like, I have looked, I haven't found anything that kind of fits all of this criteria for sustainability and living independently. So Calabria, affordability, guys, I can't stress it enough. And the last thing that I love about living in Calabria is there is no there's not a lot of toxic pollution here. And this is really important. I've been studying a lot about how metals affect our health, right? If you're touching a penny every single day, that's copper that you're touching. If you're around a lot of heavy metals, lead and stuff like that, it can actually make you go crazy. And so when we lived in Burbank, we lived underneath Burbank Airport. I remember being sprayed with like this heavy metal barium or something. I don't know what it was, but you can feel like there's heavy metals in the air. Here, the air is so clean and there's a less of a toxic load on your body. You're not going to find huge cities like anything near Los Angeles. Forget about it. Even like smaller, there are no big cities here. The biggest city is like Reggio Calabria, and that's extremely small. So there's no big freeways. There's only one airport, and it's very, very small and tiny, and it's limited flights. So you have like less of a toxic load on your body here. Also like EMFs and 5G and all of that kind of stuff, chemtrails. There are no chemtrails out here as far as I can tell. I mean, in LA you used to see them in those patterns. You see none of those patterns here. So yeah, those are the reasons why. So if you can hear me, if there's anybody out there who's thinking about getting out of the matrix, getting out of the system, getting out of these big cities that, if they turn off the water, if there's a supply chain problem, how are you going to live? And you could probably live off the grid in California easily, but it's so expensive. And then you don't have the sea with this fresh, clean water and the fresh, fish. You can't go hunting where you live in California. Here you can. If there's a wild boar attacking your farm, you have the right to bear arms and to protect your land. So if you can hear me, if there's anybody out there that knows what I'm talking about, if anybody's trying to get out of the system, Calabria has the fertile land, the amazing weather, the sunshine and the rain is important, the mountains, the independent spirit of Calabrians, and the less of a toxic load. Just the health here. The health is so much better out here because you're not breathing in all those heavy metals all the time, and you're eating food that literally just walked itself over to your plate. So, I make this video because I would really like to make a video about current situations in the world and current situations here in Italy, but I think everybody kind of knows that Italy right now is not the easiest place to move to, and a lot of my friends are like, why would I move to Italy? It's crazy out there. It is crazy. I would not recommend moving to Milan or Rome or any of these bigger towns or cities. But if you are looking to get off the grid, be self-sustainable, be around other people who think like that, and not need any help from anybody, Calabria is the #1 place in the world for me, in my opinion, to do that. There are some travel restrictions to get here, but if you can get here and you have some money in your pocket and you're willing to work the land, you can go far here in Calabria. So I hope you understand what it is I'm talking about. For those people out there, for those people who don't get what I'm talking about, I'm happy that you're happy where you're living and everything is good, and that's great. I want people to enjoy where they live. But if you're thinking about getting out there, if you're thinking about getting out of the system, we're out here, guys. We're living, okay? So thank you guys so much for watching and for bearing with my rambling enthusiasm. A lot of people complain that I talk too much, and I don't give a shit. This is my channel, and I'm sharing my life with you guys. So thanks for watching. I hope to see you soon. Ciao.